In this video, I'll show you how to use the Revolve tool to make the pulley actually. So we're going to start with a sketch. And what I suggest you do is create an axis. And so we'll just draw a line and put it on this horizontal axis here. It doesn't really matter how long it is. I'm going to hit escape and then right click on it and click on this thing that says construction, and that'll turn it into a construction line. Construction line is a line that's there just for the purposes of helping you construct your sketch. Once you finish the sketch, that line won't affect your geometry of the part at all. The other thing I'm going to do is lock that down. So if I click on that lock, it'll mean that that line will stay on there and it won't move around, because I'm going to dimension to it actually. And let's start to construct our pulley. Now, because I want a hole in the center of the pulley, I'm going to have to leave a space between that axis and that part of the pulley itself. Now, the reason Revolve is so helpful, because you can make like circular parts that have a taper to them. Excuse me, it'd be very difficult to do otherwise. Now, when you're dimensioning these odd shapes like this, if it starts jumping around on you, just undo what you did. Try putting some additional dimensions on it. Now, because we're revolving and all these dimensions are radial dimensions, you have to take that diameter. Each of these are the diameters divided by 2. For example, this hole that's going to be in the pulley is 3/4 of an inch. So from here to the axis is going to be 3/8. And you'll see how that works when we actually do the revolve. Let's see, I'm not sure what I'm missing. Oh, the only thing I was missing was the length of that, my construction line. Now, if you ever want to check your constraints, if you click on that and say apply, it'll put on whatever constraints are required to, or dimensions to fully constrain the part. And none of those are really essential, especially that. I don't need a dimension on that. Okay, I'll finish my sketch. Now, instead of extruding, what we're going to do is revolve this around the axis. Now again, we have a gap between that axis and the bottom of the part. So go to Revolve. Two things you'll have to select. One is the profile, which has already been selected in blue. And then the second is the axis that you want it to revolve around. And that's going to be that construction line. And say, okay, I'm going to do a 360 on that. And you can see what it did was create part of the pulley. So what I was able to do is generate those tapers that I couldn't do through an extrude. The other thing I'm going to do here is use the mirror tool. So I've got basically half of this pulley created. Let's use the mirror tool up here. And you have to indicate two things. One is the feature that you want to mirror. Now I can do this because the part is symmetrical, and you'll see it gets highlighted. And then the mirror plane, which is either a surface or a plane that you want to create an opposite, equal but opposite shape. In that case, it's going to be the back of the pulley. So just click on the back of the pulley. Oops, there we go. And you'll see kind of the outline of that and say OK. And what it did was create the front and the back that are the same. Okay, let's go back and look at our sketch one more time. And you can see that all started with that sketch. So it's kind of essentially that's 1/4 of the pulley. I revolved it around this axis, and then I mirrored it around the back surface. So that'll give us pulley, we can still edit it as we need to. Let's change the appearance of this a little bit. So if you go up there and click on that, you can change some. Maybe you can see those surfaces a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and save that. And let's put it on a drawing sheet. B-size paper. Oops, B-size paper. And now pay attention to your front view. Remember the rules of the front view. It should show the most information, the longest dimension, and the fewest hidden lines. That is not a good front view. Don't use that as a front view. So let's just go up here to base again. And what you can do is flip here until you get the view that you like. And that would be a good front view. I'll do right atop in my ISO. And let's just look at what we have here. So clearly, because this is a circular part, this right side view and top view are the same. So I don't really need that top view. I think the scale is about right here. So we can do this with two views, again, because the top and the right are the same. But don't leave the top view without a right side view. Again, look at your paper. Your paper is long this way, so you should put your views, orient them this way. I do not have my hidden lines turned on. If I come up here, right click, say edit view, I can turn on my hidden lines. And now we see we have another problem, and that is everything here is hidden. So if I go to dimension this, in order to call out that thickness, I'm going to have to dimension to hidden lines. Or if I wanted to call out these angles, I'm going to have to use hidden lines. So that's not acceptable. We have an option there. And that option is to create a section view. So I'm just going to delete this. We do need a right side view, but it's going to be different. So go up to Place Views. Click up here where it says a section view. And now here's how it works. You have to come in and click inside this box that's around the view you want to build the section view off of. And then find the center of the part, but don't click it. So see the little green dot, but I'm not clicking my mouse. And then I'm going to come up vertically. You can see that little dashed line until I get above the top of the part, and then click it. And then come straight down, go right to the middle. Don't click it until you get past the bottom of the part. Click it, right click, and say continue. And now what's going to happen is it's going to create a section view, and I can either go right or left with it. In this case, it's going to replace my right side view. And I'll just click it, and there we go. So now what I've done essentially is I've created a view that simulates what this part looks like if you saw down through the middle. So now those features that were hidden, now they become object lines. And you can see how it's dimensioned with A and A. If for some reason you need to change that, you can always edit that. For example, well, let's just put another section view on, for example. So again, come in here, click in the box. I'm going to find the center. I'm not clicking it though. Come out here to the far left edge. Come over to the far right edge. Right click and say continue. And then I could put another view. I could put another section view, and you'll see it'll label the first one is section AA, and it coincides with those arrows. The next one is section BB, and so forth. We don't really need that view, but that's the process if you needed to add a second section view. So now we have a perfect place to add our dimensions. So those lines that used to be hidden lines, they're now object lines, so I can freely dimension to those. Add all my dimensions. Now there's a lot of diameters here. If you just put all the diameters on there, it's okay, but it's really hard to tell. So for example, if you put a diameter on this without the right side view, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. So really a better way to do that is use the section view to call out some of those diameters. Like, what is this line here? Well, we know it lines up with that, but it makes a lot more sense if you dimension it that way. But no, it's a diameter dimension, so make sure, double click it, put your cursor. I'm going to just bounce my cursor over to the front and come over here and put a diameter symbol on it, because it's not a linear dimension, it's a diameter dimension. And I'm going to do the same for these other views. Click it, move my cursor to the left, put a diameter symbol on it, and continue on. I think you got enough room on here. Oops, you got enough room on there to make this work out just fine. Click that. Put my cursor, again, I'm moving my cursor over to the beginning diameter. And let's see. What you can do then is kind of move some of these around so they're not jumbled up against each other. Okay, so the inside hole is called out. That would be that diameter. That would be that diameter. I've got that one. The outside one is called out. So I think we've got it covered. We've got that thickness. We do need this thickness here, of course. Oops. I have to slide this down a little bit. Slide these views down. That distance. And lastly, that one right there. And we can pull this through like that. So I think I have everything on there. You'll tell me if I don't. Oh, let's see, I did miss one. Yes. There we go. That makes more sense. And same thing. Move my cursor over to the left and say okay. Oops. Try it again. There we go. Okay, so that's dimension. We do want to add a note on there for the material. And this is going to be cast iron. And we'll fill out the title block. Say okay, and there's my finished drawing.